Hey folks, it's Jordan here from VGC with our preview of FC25. Now a quick note, the footage you will see in this video is a loop of the reveal trailer as we were unable to capture the build of FC25 that we have been playing. So I thought I would run down my thoughts on the game, going kind of section by section, the biggest news, the biggest updates that you need to know about FC25. And for me, the biggest one and the mode that I have spent the most time playing on the version of the build that I have on my PlayStation is Rush mode. Now Rush is a 5 versus 5 competitive mode. This is replacing Volta, so Volta is gone. If you remember, Volta was kind of the FIFA Street-esque mode that they've had in recent games, but that is now finished with. Replacing it is Rush. So Rush is essentially you're on a grass pitch. It's not like a FIFA Street kind of like Astro or like a cage or anything. You're on a grass pitch, not as long, but it's got full-size goals. And essentially it's just the center circle, the attacking and the defending third, so it's about a third shorter. It's an AI keeper and 4 human controlled players, so you can play with up to 3 friends or you can matchmake, and essentially it's the same kind of 11-a-side mechanics, so it feels like you're playing 11-a-side but it's 5-a-sides, and the main rule differences being if you commit a foul, you'll get a blue card, which will send you to the sin bin for a minute, which is kind of interesting. Then the player can come back on. Offsides are only applicable in the final third, in the attacking third. So you'll see on the pitch when you play it, there's like a broken line that shows the attacking third, and that is where offsides kind of are enabled. So you can be in your opponent's half and still be onside. It's not the halfway line anymore, which is kind of interesting. That's apparently for balance reasons, according to what EA told us. And yeah, so it starts off, you race for the ball gets shot from a cannon at the top or the bottom of the pitch, and you race to the middle for it. And then it pretty much just becomes a game of 5-a-sides. It's pretty frantic. Obviously, you're getting into a situation where it's a lot of 1v1. It's a lot of 3 players will be attacking, and then when the ball turns over in transition, you only have 1 defender left and you have to defend a 1 versus 3. It kind of reminded me of basketball in that way. It's very transitional, it's very high pace, it's very these matches are going to be incredibly high scoring, I think, and it's fun. It's certainly something different, and I think the most important thing is that this Rush mode, it's not only in kickoff, it's not only in the online sections, it's also an ultimate team, which really changes for me the outlook of how much I'm going to play it. Because with things like Volta, despite the fact that it was quite fun, because it wasn't connected to the main mode that I play, I really didn't care about it. And I feel that way about kind of a lot of the mechanics that they add into the game. If they're not integrated into Ultimate Team, they essentially aren't for me. So the fact that Rush is not only in Ultimate Team, but you can play Rush to get evolution challenges, you can play Rush to complete objectives, it's a huge change. Speaking of Ultimate Team, the biggest thing I would say from Ultimate Team is there's a lot of community requested features being added to the game this year. For example, duplicate storage is finally back in Ultimate Team. If you remember that during the 2018 FIFA World Cup expansion, they had duplicate storage, but it's been gone since then. It is back. So now you have up to 100 duplicate storage spots, and they have their own little menu and the kind of bar across the header. So if you're completing an SBC, you can search your club or go straight to duplicate storage, so you're not having to, they literally reference taking pictures of your screen and making sure that you're only using your duplicates. So it seems like they're listening to kind of annoying problems that have been in the game for a while and finally adding a solution to them. I think the limit to 100 is to stop people exploiting it via trading. So I wonder if you pass the 100 limit, what will happen then, if it will go back to the more traditional the more traditional system of not being able to open packs until you deal with that card. We'll have to see in the full game, but that wasn't really addressed. Another significant change comes in the form of evolutions, which EA have claimed will increase in frequency by 7 times. I don't know if that means there'll be 7 times more players eligible for evolutions, because honestly that could just refer to goalkeepers, which were famously not eligible for evolutions last year, or if that's the frequency with which they'll release new evolution challenges. EA did claim that players won't have to be as precious about which players they include in the challenges, because a far greater number of the items are going to be released. For people that really didn't like the way the evolution items looked, that kind of teal card, there's now customized items for evolutions, so you can change the color of the card, the animation, the decorative elements. There's like fireworks and sound effects you can change as well. What wasn't clear, and I'd really like to know, is if you can change the dynamic image, because I've always thought that if you own multiple versions of a card, say you own the first and second in form of a player, you should be able to change the dynamic to whichever one you want. Or if maybe you make certain dynamics kind of an upgrade opportunity during evolutions, so you get to the highest tier of evolutions, and then it's like, oh, if you want to do one more challenge, say you score 50 goals with your completed evolution, that unlocks all of the dynamics for that player. That could be kind of interesting. I mean, they're clearly getting more customizable. I mean, sound effects on a card, that's not really something we've seen before, so it'll be interesting to see how that manifests, if that'll be just something else to absolutely fill packs with. But I think they're making the right noises. And obviously Rush, so in Rush and Ultimate Team, you're basically going into a lobby with 4 of your friends and each bringing one of your cards to make your team. So the example they've shown is you pack Inform Bellingham, you bring him, your pal brings Vinicius, your other pal brings Mbappe, and that is your team together when you play Rush. You're all earning the same rewards by doing that. You're all earning the same progress towards objectives and things like that. So it seems really unified. Just on that, there's also objectives, and the season passes are across all the different modes. So if you're playing in clubs, you're playing in career mode, you're playing in Ultimate Team, all the progress you're earning is going to this big kind of season passes across the 3 modes. I don't know how that's really going to work, if there's going to be a situation where you're earning rewards for a mode you don't play. That could be kind of frustrating, but we'll see how it actually works in the main game. But yeah, good changes to Ultimate Team. Also, very importantly, Rivals mode is no longer win based, it is points based. So 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 for a loss, meaning that draws and rivals are no longer pointless. They're also bringing back relegations in Division 1 and Division 2, so if you get up that high, you can't get stuck there, you can get brought back down. And they also said because of this, rewards in Division 1 and Division 2 are going to be significantly higher, so that will incentivize players to kind of stay in those divisions. Friendlies matchmaking and rivals matchmaking are no longer tied together, so your friendlies matchmaking is totally different, which I think is an excellent change. From a gameplay perspective, I would say the biggest thing is this FCIQ system, which is basically a huge expansion in player roles. Now, if you play Football Manager, you'll be kind of familiar with this, but in this system, so you take a player and you can assign him kind of a certain style of play. So a cam can be like a playmaker or a shadow striker, like a center mid can be a deep lying playmaker holding box to box, and every player will have certain player roles that they excel in. In career mode, you can also train players to be better in certain modes, but this is kind of feeds into the whole tactical system that they've introduced, where work rates are gone, which is kind of huge. Certain positions like center forward, left wing back, right wing back, they're also gone. That's all tied into player roles, and it feels like it's a kind of a stat boost. So say you're playing Jude Bellingham, they keep using Jude Bellingham because he's on the front cover, but he might have like player role plus as a playmaker. You can still play him as another player role, but he won't get the benefit. Sort of think of it as back in the day when you would play a left forward and striker, they would only be on 7 chemistry, so they wouldn't get the full boost. It seems to kind of operate in a similar scenario to that. The tactical system is also really based on real life teams, so a Pep Guardiola card will have a tactical system that's all about control and things like that. Something that we've kind of been wanting for a while, because for the longest time the manager cards have basically exclusively been little chemistry boosts for that league, but this feels like a way to integrate those actual, because it might as well have previously just been nation and league, and it doesn't matter who it actually was. So doing that's kind of interesting. I've always wondered if they would introduce icon manager cards for like Sir Alex Ferguson, people like that. But yeah, that's a it's an interesting change. You can also build familiarity with those roles. You can do asymmetrical formations, which I'm sure people will be really weird with. I can't wait to see how that actually works. Little notes from career mode. Women's football is now in. There's a redevelopment of the youth academy. You can also have icons in your career mode, which is kind of interesting. Like, they show one of the pre-order bonuses is that you get Galacticos Beckham and Galacticos Ronaldo in your career mode, which I personally don't like. I like career mode to be realistic, but people have been asking for it for a while. So I suppose it's a way to play with those players without having to kind of grind to get them an Ultimate Team. Just bring back the Classic 11. I don't even know if they have like a Classic 11 in Kickoff anymore. I've not played that mode in so long. Speaking of icons, Gianluigi Buffon confirmed for an icon. That's cool, well deserved. I feel like there was something else with icons, but perhaps not. Yeah, so career mode icons, women's football, redevelopment of the youth academy. It seems they're kind of they're taking a big... Career mode's always been a bit of a forgotten mode because it doesn't make them any money, but it seems like this year they're taking it slightly more seriously, which is nice to see. All of EAFC 25 so far feels like, okay, we got EAFC 24 out of the door. It was the first one after the name change. It was like a difficult thing to do. Now we can actually just do what we want, detached from the FIFA license. They have absolutely no influence over what we do. Let's make EA's football game, which I think is it's a really interesting prospect, and I think it won't actually come to the fore for a few games after this, but I still think it's pretty interesting. Live start points in career mode is also a new thing where you will be able to, for example, one of the examples they gave was when Klopp announced that he was leaving Liverpool, you can take over Liverpool from that point in the season and play like a 6-month career mode, just that back half of the season, try and win the league with them. You can go into basically any week and start a career mode then. So something happens at the weekend, you're like, oh, this is interesting, I want to start my career mode now, not faff about with preseason and all that. You can do that, which I think is a really smart little change. For clubs also has Rush, which is great, because to me Rush is EA finally acknowledging that clubs is like such a big part of the game, and the kind of social aspect of clubs is something that so many people are drawn to now. You only need to look at the success of stuff like Turf and Turf to really see that that's kind of where people's eyes are for FIFA. Pack openings and Road to Glories and stuff like that. Like, I love Nepenthes, but like, I still watch that stuff, but it's certainly, I think they would admit themselves that it's not what it once was. So the success of stuff like Turf and Turf with which is the pro clubs game run by Young Philly and Angry Ginge, that like Wayne Rooney and H and all these people, H the rapper, not H from Steps, and all these people have played in. Rush seems like it will kind of replicate that, obviously with fewer players, which for me is better because it's easier to get just a few people together for something like that. But yeah, I think the Rush mode being across everything makes me think, okay, this is going to be a serious mode for the coming years. And who knows, maybe Rush esports, like a team of 4 competing. I'd like to see a Rush esports mode, because I feel like being really tactically adept to something like that would be kind of interesting to watch, although it will result in people just absolutely screaming at you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Last thing, in Rush, if you get a penalty, it's like an MLS penalty, it's a 1v1 against the keeper. I think that's great. So yeah, EAFC is out in September 27th for everyone, but if you pre-order the Ultimate Edition, you get it on September 20th. Yeah, Jude Bellingham on the cover. I've enjoyed what I've played so far. I want to play more of it. I want to play more Rush. I want to get a Rush team together. So if you're interested in that, let me know on Twitter. But until next time, check out my written preview on VGC and all the news coming out of EAFC 25. Until next time, subscribe to VGC. I'm Jordan Midler. See you later.